This episode of the MLB Guardcast is sponsored by Sadnap Studios. Are you in need of assistance when it comes to digital arts, logo creation, website design, brand building, or designing merch? Then look no further than Sadnap Studios. The team at Sadnap Studios wants to help and make your dreams into reality. Everything is original and organically created, nothing AI. You can follow them and check out some of their incredible work on Instagram at sadnap_studios_art drop. Thanks again to the folks at Sadnap Studios. Go Guards. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for another episode of the MLB Guardcast. I am Mike Vorhies. Bryan Shaw, weatherman, with me as well. Bryan, it's been downpouring for like 4 hours now. Is this done yet?
I haven't looked, to be honest.
Man, oh man, it's been raining all day long. I hate this weather.
Hang
It
on.
just makes me groggy and tired, and I
I
just want to
agree. I am
sleep.
definitely tired. Let me look at what the radar looks like.
Well, while you're looking at it, it is episode 27 of the MLB Guardcast, and we're starting with breaking news. Bryan, we had texted shortly before we went live. The Cleveland Guardians have made a trade. Darren McCacken from the Miami Marlins comes to the team for cash considerations. He's been assigned to AAA Columbus. And to make room for him, Gavin Williams goes from the 15-day to 60-day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I panicked a minute, and then you're like, it's 2 more weeks, and then Gavin will be back
Well,
potentially.
I do think it's more of a paper move. I don't think it's an indication unless we hear otherwise. But there's been a lot of unless we hear otherwise and making um. Well, and we'll get into that in a minute.
We'll get into it. Our
But
Guardians.
anyway, but my point is that yes, I think it's just a paper move. Unless they tell us he's had another setback, but I believe his injury, the injection he got went fine from what I've read, and he's been on the injured list already for 45 days, so
Yeah, okay.
he's out 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, he
We need
hasn't
him.
started a rehab assignment or anything yet. I know he's
Yeah,
been
so
ramping
that's
up, so there is that time frame, and so they probably just figure, okay, we need this roster spot, we need AAA depth. I actually think this has more to do potentially with Tyler Beede.
yes, and you're jumping right in. Mr. Tyler Beede is no longer with the Major League club as he was designated for assignment after getting absolutely shelled out of the bullpen. He made the team after a great spring training, but I was looking at his numbers, 13 runs, 13 earned runs in 14 innings of work, earned run average of 8.26. That's not going to get it done.
No, and we had talked about last episode that there was going to be some tough decisions. He had started off actually pretty good and seems to have kind of trailed off a little bit. That there was going to be some tough decisions because we had guys coming back. Sam Hentges is now back. Eli Morgan is due back here soon. I believe James Karinchak is also on the 60-day IL, but he's with the team. I did see him in Atlanta. So
You
he would be
did.
coming back at the same time as around when Gavin Williams would come back in terms of like the time frame of when he could come off the 60-day IL. So there's guys that were coming back from injury that you had to start making some moves. And unfortunately, Tyler Beede was one of those guys. Now, the reason I mentioned I think that the current roster move has something to do with him is because he was outrighted to AAA. However, it was said that it's unknown if he accepted his option into AAA. So if he doesn't accept that and he decides to become a free agent, then maybe that's the open spot in Columbus and why they made this trade. Now, I'm just speculating. We don't know for sure, but I have a feeling that that could be why.
Yeah, I think obviously once you reach a certain number of years and innings and experience that I think Beatty rejects his assignment. I think he's thinking he can probably latch on somewhere, and maybe somebody takes a chance with him. Who knows? But let's dive into our first place Cleveland Guardians, currently 24-13. Brian, unfortunately, though, 7-7 since our last recording. Not great, including losing 2 series, one to the Atlanta Braves, which you were present for one of those games.
The one
And
win.
then we lost the one that we won, correct?
Yes.
See, so you're the good luck charm. You just need to go to all the games and then we win them all, correct? Is that how that works?
It didn't happen that way last year. That's for sure.
That's last year, though. We're talking this year. Every year is new. When that calendar flips, man, the old stuff doesn't happen. But we lost a series to the Braves and to the Astros, but we won the series against the Red Sox, Angels, and Tigers, including a phenomenal come from behind win yesterday. I had turned the game on late and we were losing. Shout out to Kyle Manzardo. Welcome to the club. He got a single in the 7th, although going 1 for 8 with 5 Ks. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with jitters and
Yeah.
just kind of getting used to the big league club. But now we got
The
bad
monkey's
news
off
to
the
talk
back.
about. It is. He got a single, and I mean, it had the left fielder dove. He may not have had a single, but the left fielder chose not to
I
dove
mean, I
or
did like
dive.
that he went the other way on it. I thought
I
that was a
did.
nice approach. That's kind of what I wanted to see out of him for the first couple of games is just how's his approach? Does he look overwhelmed? Maybe in the first couple of those at bats, there was a couple of pitches where you looked at it and you're like, okay, maybe he's just not seeing this right, or it's the jitters. I think just he's up into the big leagues, and um, now that he's gotten that first hit, I think he'll start to get into his stride and be a lot more comfortable up there, and not worrying as much. And then also, I think there's something to be said that it- he once he starts playing the field more and is more into the groove of the game, that he may relax a little bit more as opposed to just being in the DH spot where he had been for his first couple of games.
Right. Stephen Vogt did say that Kyle would get some work at first base and the outfield as well. He has not played the outfield in the minor leagues. So I think the last time he played the outfield was in high school, potentially college. So that has me a little leery. I'd like to just see him then at first base. That would be great. And we'll see. But welcome to the club. We're going to get a long look at him, as unfortunately, with good news comes bad news. And we lose the best hitter in our lineup right now. Stephen Kwan goes to the injured list. They're saying potentially 4 weeks, could be a little bit longer. He has an acute hamstring strain, and hamstring issues have been in his repertoire for a while now, Stephen Kwan. So are you a little concerned, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of came out of nowhere. I watched the game. I did see him come out. They showed a replay. He didn't come up hobbling like I think it was a game against the White Sox where one of the
Yes.
White Sox players running to first base, or when you usually see a guy pull a hammy and they
Oh, you're
really, really,
talking Yoan Moncada when he was running
yeah,
and like his entire leg just buckled
yes.
and down he went. Yes.
Or like in the past where you've seen guys kind of come up lame running on to first base. Like, you didn't see any of that. He was kind of wincing a little bit. It was bothering him. It looked like he was trying to stretch it out. And then I think he finished the inning, came in, reported that he felt tightness,
Mm-hmm.
and then that turns into he's out a month. Now,
Well, I think,
credit
are
to
we
Stephen
airing on?
Kwan, he must have like a really, really high tolerance for pain if that was the case. It's just unfortunate that after the game, Boat said, "Yeah, we pulled him out of a precaution, abundance of caution because it's early in the season and we don't want this to linger and we don't want it to be worse." And then you find out it's a pretty serious injury, which is incredibly unfortunate. Um, Now, okay, so he's out for most of the month of May and early June, and then we'll get him back for the second half of the season here, and hopefully maybe it's one of those things where they're saying a month because they don't want it to linger. They
Yeah.
don't want to, because hamstrings can linger and they don't want it to. So they're going to give him, as much time as possible, because I think they expect to be a playoff team and they're going to need him down the long stretch of the season.
I think it is precaution for 4 weeks. I mean, right now we're doing okay, 24-13. Obviously not as good as we were when we recorded a few weeks ago. So we'll take that and we'll run with it. He's the best hitter though. He's the catalyst of our offense, hitting 353, leading the American League. Not one other hitter in our lineup is hitting over 300. So that concerns me a little bit.
There's
Oh, I
one.
did my research, sir. I did my research.
No, there's one more.
Who's the other one?
We'll get
Are you
to
going
him
to tell
later.
me? Are you talking about the hero of the day from yesterday?
Yeah. He's just not
Oh, well,
qualified.
he doesn't. Yes, you are correct. I stand corrected. David Smallfry. I forgot about him. The home run yesterday was incredible. We needed it. I mean that barely got out. In many ballparks, I don't know if that's a home run, but in ours at Progressive Field, it sure was. I think 338 feet was the official uh, record of the home run. The wall is 336,
Well, and then it
I
went
think.
over in the short part, because if it was a
Right.
couple of feet over, it would have hit the top, the higher part of the wall.
Yeah, total. David Fry is incredible, and I think we need to see him in the lineup more.
I was
And
gonna
I
say
think
that.
that,
Yeah.
and I think that we will. I think that Stephen Vogt is still kind of jostling with his lineup. Playing, Estevan Florial has gotten the start as the leadoff hitter and in left field the last few games. I think that's going to stay. I think Florial is starting to come around. Looks like he's hitting the ball well. That batting average is starting to climb a little bit. But don't forget, we have Silly Willie and we have Ramon Laureano. I just wish he would hit. I don't know. I don't know what more we can do with Ramon Laureano. Um, I'm hoping that by me bad mouthing him, he'll go on like a huge tear. But we shall see. I haven't seen the lineup for tonight. We're in the south side of Chicago to take on the White Sox. And if there's a lefty on the mound, then Ramon Laureano is in the lineup. If there's not a lefty on the mound, then Laureano's on the bench.
Yeah, and
That's
it'll be
pretty
Will
much how it's
Brennan.
been.
Right. Now, I would say that I think David Fry should be getting more of Ramon Laureano's at bats at this point. He is just crushing left-handed pitching. He has a 1.2 OPS against lefties.
Wow.
One
Okay.
1.2. He has a on base percentage of almost 600 against lefties.
Okay.
So
David Fry, you're making a name for yourself, buddy. Let's go.
so here's the thing. So you had mentioned that Estevan Florial has taken over the leadoff role in Stephen Kwan's absence.
Right.
Interesting move, because he's kind of the opposite of Stephen Kwan, where it's like a high on base percentage, contact guy, sees a lot of pitches. That's not Estevan Florial. Uh,
Mm-mm.
so I would have expected that you would see a similar profile to go into that spot. Estevan Florial is more of a, you know, rip a double or hit a home run or strike out kind of guy. I would argue that against lefties, I'd put David Fry in that leadoff spot.
Whoa. That's
Let's get
huge because
weird.
David, he's not fast. So again, my typical leadoff hitter, I'm thinking of the 90s.
Do they
We
always
had
have to
Kenny
be fast?
Lofton.
I was gonna say, does it have to be Kenny Lofton?
I don't know. That's kind of what I think when I think of a leadoff hitter, but
Oh,
I
well, I'm
think a
thinking
lot of
on base
times
percentage.
well, you look at the Yankees, they've put Aaron Judge in the leadoff spot. I mean, we don't have a guy like Luis Ariz who hits everything and is an incredible hitter. He's your leadoff guy all the time. I get it. And yes, we do have Stephen Kwan normally, but yeah, Florial's like a power hitter. He's a
Hmm.
gap hitter and definitely not your ideal candidate uh, as a leadoff hitter. But right
No,
now, I think Stephen Vogt's going to have to kind of shift and pick and choose, and we may see different guys. Because if a lefty's on the mound, Florial won't lead off. So
Right.
I'm interested to see who that would be. Is it going to be Tyler Freeman? Is it going to be uh Andres Jimenez? Who I'm curious as to what he's going to do.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking from an on-base percentage standpoint, especially against lefties, because I mentioned that David Fry has a 600 on base versus
Right.
lefties. Now that wouldn't continue, but my point is that remember in the Carlos Santana days, he was an on-base percentage machine, and there was a
He
time
drew
where
a
he was
ton of
batting
walks,
leadoff.
and yeah, all Carlos Santana did, it seemed, was either hit a home run or walk. So
So
we'll take that.
so there is. I mean, I know that was under Tito, and that's not Stephen Vogt, but anyway, it's just interesting to see Florial there. Florial, I feel like has been better.
Mhm.
He's his
We bashed
his
him, and he turned it up. We told him I was said, "Hey, we're getting ready to designate for assignment this guy," and he's like, "No, no, no, not so fast, my
yeah
friend.
started hitting a couple
I'm
of home
not
runs.
right, exactly.
Now we're hoping to do that for Ramon Laureano because he's here to hit lefties, and
Yeah, he's
he's
not
he's
doing
he's
either
he's
right
not
now.
doing great.
No, he's not.
And really, you I did see we need some. I think part. Excuse me. I'm really trying to spit this out. I think part of
It's
it
all
is
good.
because he's a right-handed hitter, and we have so few. And I had seen something where it was suggested that if Manzardo was a right-handed bat, he would have been up here sooner. But since the roster is constructed of lefties, it took an injury for it to get to that point.
Yeah, I get that, and I didn't realize Manzardo was a lefty until I saw his first AB, and I'm like, "Oh crap, that's right, another left-handed hitter." And again, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I know there's a lot more left-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball. We just haven't seen a lot of them yet. I know there's a lot of left-handed relievers. We haven't seen a lot of them yet. So it'll be interesting what Stephen Vogt does with the offense. I mean, losing Kwan is huge because he's the guy that jumpstarts our offense. He's not hitting 353 for nothing. Like he gets on base, he works counts. I mean, that's what we're accustomed to seeing. He doesn't strike out. And now that's out of our lineup. Now, are we going to become a completely different offense? I don't know.
I mean, I hope not. I hope other guys start to step up. I mean, Jose up until a few days ago was in a huge skid. Andreas Jimenez has hit a bit of a skid.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there's opportunity for other guys to step up and hopefully things keep rolling. Let's keep in mind that you did mention, yes, they were 7-7 since we last recorded, but there's still 11 games over 500. If they finished 11 games over 500 on the season, I think there's a good chance that they could end up making the playoffs with that kind of record. And the other part of that is they 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 lost a couple of series against some really good teams. Yes, the Astros are starting. They're not great so far this year, but they're still the Astros.
Yeah.
And the Guardians have, I believe, the second best record against teams over 500. They're 13-8 against teams over 500. I believe the only team with a better record than that is the Orioles, who are 15-6
Oh
against teams
wow.
over
Okay.
500.
Well, and
Everybody
let's be
else,
honest, the remaining schedule for the Guardians is in the Guardians' favor. It's not a very powerful. I hate to use this word. It's not a cupcake schedule. It's not that, but they're playing teams that last year and even this year have struggled out of the gate, and we're favored in most of those matchups going down the stretch. So we could be okay. I mean, these guys are allowed. They're professional athletes. They're going to hit
yeah,
slumps
I
here and
mean, it is
there.
a month. They've lost what, three series? Yankees, Astros, Braves.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
a couple of those series, you lose by one run. The Astros, the third game went into extra innings, and then you ended up losing. I think an Astros game ended up going into extra innings too, or
Yeah,
it was a
that
one-run
was
game.
because Hunter Gaddis blew a game against the Astros. and he blew a game against the Braves.
Yeah.
So that happens. I mean, pitchers are going to have bad nights. That's why I joked and said Hunter Gaddis needed to come out of the setup role and go back to being like the 5th or 6th inning guy. We've talked about our offense thus far, Brian, but I think we need to address the gigantic elephant in the room. Our starters have not been great. Aside from a couple of starts from Tanner Bybee and Tristan McKenzie, where I think they both went 7 innings, our starting pitching has not been good. They're not going deep into games. They're coming out of the game in the 4th and the 5th inning when we need them to go a little bit further. We don't want to tax our bullpen. We don't want, these guys to get overworked. And then we have a replay of last year where our bullpen implodes because they're just overworked and they're tired.
Yeah. So starting pitcher ERA is 24th in the league at a 4.41, and
that's not good.
But the relief pitching ERA, even with getting smacked around the other day against the Tigers, is still second with a 2.44 ERA, but they're also up there in innings pitched. The relievers are third in innings pitched. So I do think it is. I mean, you have that Carrasco game where he didn't look great and got rocked against the Astros. But he rebounded. Um, I'm less concerned about the ERA. I'm more concerned about the innings pitched, like you mentioned, and that'll
look at
come.
Logan Allen. I mean, Logan Allen got rocked the other day. He just didn't have it. Gave up, I don't know, 7 runs, 8 runs, something crazy. The 2 guys that I will say the 3 guys I'm not totally concerned with. Ben Lively has been great. He's averaging over 5 innings a start. I know you were pretty high on the guy and said that he would be in our rotation.
I wouldn't say high on him.
You said
I
he'd
said
be our
he'd
number
be
5.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, that's
You've
not the
been pretty
hugest
happy with him.
compliment.
You've been pretty happy, just like most of us, with Ben Lively. He's looked good. He's averaging a little over 5 innings per start. Tanner Bybee's right at 5 innings a start. He's pitched 40 innings and made 8 starts. And then McKenzie's only had 34 innings in 7 starts. That's the one that concerns me a little bit. Can we get the Tristan of old, please? Can we get the Tristan that goes into the 6th and 7th inning of a game? Same thing with.
He did have one the other day.
He had one with the
Astros
where he looked really, really good.
I don't know if you can expect that out of Tristan. I don't know how much this injury to his elbow is lingering and won't allow him to go that distance. Now he did show it the other day, and maybe as the season continues to go and these guys continue to ramp up and get a little more comfortable, that happens.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think either way. I mean, there's also the potential where, like, I don't know the answer, because adding like a 6th starter kind of thing, like bringing up Xavier Curry and kind of bouncing guys, I don't know if that's the answer either, because Xavier's probably not going 7 innings either. He's probably would go 5 or 6. So all that's doing is resting your
start. All that does for Curry, and he went 5 innings.
So all that does is rest your rotation. It doesn't rest your bullpen.
Right, and that's the concern. I was looking up innings pitched, and I got through our 5 starters. I got through Shane Bieber, and then lo and behold, who's pitched 19 and a third innings so far this year? That would be Emmanuel Clase.
And then Hunter Gaddis is up there. I know Cam Smith is up there. Nick Sandlin's probably up there.
Sandlin's there. Tim Herron is right there. Like, we're getting into that situation where I get a little nervous because our bullpen is getting used. I don't know what we can do. Obviously, losing Shane Bieber was big. Nobody expected it. And now I know Tanner Bybee's looked great. He has had electric stuff in his last few starts, but he gets a little out of control. And then the pitch count goes up. And then when that pitch count goes up, he comes out early. Same with Tristan. Same with Carrasco. Logan Allen. Like, That's the problem. I know that this stuff's going to happen because it's Major League Baseball and it's pitching, and you can't control it all the time. I get it. Some nights you're just not going to have it. But I'm very concerned that our bullpen is going to get extremely taxed, and we've only played 37 games this year. Tonight will be 38.
Yeah. Like you said, I do think something's got to give there, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we get Gavin back, and the starters just start to go a little bit more, a little bit longer, and maybe maybe that's Vote being a little too quick to pull them too, to try to
Yeah.
salvage, and having a lot of that trust in the bullpen, because the bullpen is phenomenal. So I think it's one of those things where you're going to trust them as long as you can trust them, because you
Yeah.
want to win games. You don't want to leave a starter in there too long, but their innings pitched is, I don't think, necessarily indicative of that they can't go longer. It's he's getting them out of there before they get in too much trouble.
Yeah. I mean, we still have the third best record in the American League. We are winning ball games somehow, some way. When the cards are stacked against us, the one thing, the one word I would use for this team, if I had to define the team in one word, is resilient. This team does not just roll over and quit. They fight, and they kick, scream, they do whatever they need to do. They stay in a game, and then they make you believe it's that Guardiac kids that, hey, maybe they're going to come back and win. And we've done that quite a bit this year. We've had a lot of come from behind wins and win in extra innings and all of that. So
Yeah, and I'd say that's a big difference from last year. It's more of like a 22 kind of attitude
mhm,
where you never felt like you were out of it, and there was times last year where it felt like they were just like, okay, let's just go through the motions and
they were
go home.
mailing it in, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's get through the game. Let's not try. We're not going to get on base. We're not going to do any of that stuff. Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. The Guardians this year are not last year, and that probably has to do with Stephen Vogt. I think that these guys are behind him 100%. I think the players are going to give everything they can, and eventually these guys are going to get hot. It's been a different guy every different day, every day. It's been somebody different that's carried this team offensively. It's been Josh Naylor. It's been David Smallfry. It's been Estevan Florial getting a big hit, or Will Brennan, or Bo Naylor hitting a grand slam the other day. Like, it's been a different guy, which is great. You don't want that pressure to be on Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez all the time. But it was easier because you had Stephen Kwan at the top of the order, and he was on base, and all you had to do was knock him in. He's not there now,
Well,
so it's
and
going to
and he
be
was the
who
hero in how
steps
many
up.
games,
Yeah.
slapping doubles, and he had 3 home runs himself. Um, you know, it is a month. I think they'll get through it. And, this is a team also that typically doesn't start to get hot until the weather gets really, really hot. Now,
Yeah.
is that going to be different under Stephen Vogt? Is that somehow a Tito thing? Who knows? We'll see. But either way, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll work through it. I'm not concerned. I know, like you said, it was 7-7 since the last recording, but they had a couple of tough series, and there was at least 2 games that could have easily gone the other way, and
Yeah.
you're talking about only having lost one series instead. Um,
And we've got the lowly White Sox for 4 games. We could easily win 4 in a row, and
and be
we
15
on the
over
last one.
500.
Yeah, I mean, we easily could. We know the White Sox are in peril this year. They did pick up Tommy Pham since the last time we played them.
And then they won a few
Um,
games.
and they've won a few games because Tommy Pham's still got a little bit left in the tank, apparently, and he's not going down without a fight. But it'll be interesting. I think it's growing pains. I think we're going to experience this a little bit here and there throughout the season. I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet. I'm close. I'm at the edge of my seat with our bullpen and our starting rotation. And I know we're missing some guys, and guys are coming back. So it's going to be a kind of a revolving door with a couple players, but we're still over 500 guys. We're the third best team in the American League.
Yeah,
I think we're the sixth best team in baseball right now, if I did the math right. I know the National League, the Phillies are the best team in baseball. They've won 26 games. The Dodgers, I think, have won 25.
So we have a 649 win percentage. The
Yes.
Yankees, Orioles,
Yep.
the Phillies,
Yep. We're better than the
and
Braves.
Dodgers are the
Yeah.
teams. So Dodgers, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're fifth best team in baseball.
Guys, I'm going to take that all day because last year we weren't great. And we haven't even hit all cylinders yet. This team is not in sixth gear ready to go. It's still May. It's early May. And we're already excited about the projection of this team and the direction that they're going. And they're still very young. Stephen Vogt's still kind of figuring it out as a manager. He'll get there. He's going to make decisions that we all scratch our head and go, what are you doing? Then there's going to be some where he makes a decision and something great happens, like David Fry hitting a home run. He put him in the game, and David Fry hits a home run. So he makes decisions that sometimes will help us too. We just have to have faith. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it until there's something to worry
Guardians, right
about.
here, right there.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll get through this little bit of a rough stretch. Like I said, Jose hasn't been normal Jose
He's not
quite yet.
Jose
He's
yet.
getting there.
Nope.
Jimenez has had little teases here and there, but
Yeah.
he's not quite back to where he should be. I think things will will come around, and then you get Stephen Kwan back, and that'll put a jolt back into the lineup. Plus, you expect Kyle Manzardo, who was just ripping the cover off the ball in AAA. He's not going to strike out every at bat from here on out. He's going to be producing, and he's going to be an integral part of the lineup as well. So it's going to be exciting to watch. And like you said, maybe we've got a nice little series coming up against the White Sox here where you take 3 of 4 or you sweep them and you kind of get back on track. It's a little get right series for them.
Well, tonight, lots of things to watch on television. You have the Guardians game, which I think first pitch is 7:30. You have the Cavs and the Celtics tonight, game 2. Lots to choose from. I'll be flipping back and forth. I'm sure you will as well, because that's what we do, Brian. We're sports fans, so we're going to be watching everything that has to do with Cleveland. But
Got to
I'm
get a
going to be
2 TV
pulling,
setup.
the picture-in-picture works really well if you can figure it out. I have learned to do that. So picture-in-picture works well. And as always, guys, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll see where the Guards are at. I don't think they're going to be 7-7. I think they're going to be 15, maybe 20 games over 500 by the time we record next. Who knows? I'm going to stay positive, though. I don't want to be negative Nancy just yet.
They'll be fine. I'm not worried. But yeah, Mike, where
Nope.
can they find you?
I am on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mike Vorhies. Brian, where can they find you and us?
I am Bryan Shaw on Facebook, WXSHAW on Twitter. We are Guardcast MLB on Twitter, and then MLB Guardcast on Facebook. And check us out
And
there.
you
We'll
can
have our YouTube clips. We are on
beat me to
Spotify
it.
and Apple. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Spotify and Apple, we're also over on YouTube. So come check us out.
Can't wait. Brian, pleasure as always. Please make it stop raining. I'd like to spend time outside and not be indoors listening to it pouring down rain as it's been for the last several hours. But again, enjoy it. Go Guards. We'll see you soon, folks.
See you soon.